Hello, everybody.
Howdy.
Welcome to our home
And
insanity.
Brand of insanity, yes.
Yeah, the Watchtower Zoo, I'll tell you.
Yes.
My goodness.
Hi, Mike and Robin. Nice to see you doing your first video. And we would like to encourage anybody that has the ability to get out, start doing videos, because this vast apostate army is getting to be a very large army of ex-Jehovah Witness members that have the voice to speak out against the nonsense of what Watchtower is doing.
Yes. And thank you, everybody, for your kind words. Yeah, because we've even been trying to encourage Unknown Apostate to start doing his own videos, too, because it's like, my goodness.
This guy is just sharper than a tack on a back of a turtle shell.
I know it. I know it. So hopefully someday we can tuck him into it.
Yes.
But what we have here is a clip that I borrowed from a pro-JW site that has a talk done by governing body member Garrett Loesch. Now, this is just a clip. They didn't have the entire talk, but he did it in Italian. And if I remember right, it was from 2003.
Yeah, that's what I think, 2003.
Yeah, but it has English subtitles that someone else has done. So, unfortunately, you're going to have to read it. So if you've got a little tiny phone with a little tiny screen, you might want to watch it, on a regular computer or TV screen, because it's going to have some English subtitles. But I think, you want to say anything before we show the clip?
Well, after we see the clip, join us back here and watch how we show how wise the Watchtower Babble Crap Society really is.
That's an oxymoron.
I know. Yeah, I know.
So enjoy the clip.
Se frequentate l'università o meno potrebbe essere un riflesso della vostra fede o mancanza della vostra fede e indicare se avete veramente in mente la prossimità della grande tribolazione. Un fatto rimane indiscusso: il tempo rimasto è ridotto, come disse Paolo, 1 Corinti 7:29. Se state attualmente frequentando l'università, perché non riflettete in preghiera di smettere e di fare qualcosa di meglio? Ma per noi che siamo desti al significato degli avvenimenti mondiali alla luce della profezia biblica, ci sono ragioni assai più valide per non mettere al primo posto nella vita una carriera mondana. Potremmo paragonarci a una persona che vede un edificio con un cartello: questa ditta chiude per cessata attività. Andreste a cercare lavoro lì? Naturalmente no. E se lavorassimo per tale ditta, cercheremo saggiamente lavoro altrove. Ebbene, su tutte le istituzioni di questo mondo è evidente il cartello imminente cessazione delle attività, la fine è vicina. Sì, il mondo passa, ci assicura la Bibbia, perciò saggiamente non adotteremo come modelli di comportamento i personaggi che ne sono parte integrante. Adesso avete sentito il consiglio. Cosa farete ora? Alcuni giustificano frequentare l'università citando l'esempio di figli di anziani che stanno o hanno frequentato l'università. Noi non possiamo e non vogliamo dirvi cosa fare. Voi e i vostri genitori dovete prendere la decisione. Noi non siamo i signori sulla vostra fede. Comunque, lo schiavo fedele e discreto è responsabile di mettere in guardia contro i pericoli spirituali e di incoraggiare a mettere gli interessi del regno al primo posto. Quindi lo schiavo scoraggia frequentare l'università per un lungo periodo di tempo. Ripetutamente ho sentito di esperienze di individui che stavano per completare gli studi presso un'università quando poi hanno smesso perché hanno preso la verità. Altri individui battezzati hanno rifiutato borse di studio. Voi cosa farete? Quale decisione prenderete? Rifiuterete o meno? Perseguirete l'istruzione universitaria o no? Dovrete rispondere a Jehovah. Vogliamo lodare tutti coloro nell'uditorio che hanno smesso di frequentare l'università quando sono venuti nella verità e tutti coloro che dopo aver ascoltato questo discorso faranno la stessa cosa. Forse volete ancora giustificare andare all'università. Forse dite, vedi, il fratello tal dei tali ha frequentato l'università e adesso serve nella congregazione ed è anche pioniere. È vero, può essere che abbia sopravvissuto l'università, si può dire, ma quanto segue è una vera esperienza riguardo un giovane che soffriva di un disturbo compulsivo che gli causava di lavarsi continuamente le mani, persino 100 volte al giorno. Questo disturbo lo scoraggiò così tanto che un giorno decise di suicidarsi. Comprò un fucile, lo puntò alla sua bocca e premette il grilletto. La pallottola però non lo uccise, ma invece forò la parte del cervello che era responsabile per il suo comportamento compulsivo. Sopravvisse e dopo ciò riuscì a vivere una vita normale. Sì, è vero, sopravvisse. Ma raccomandereste imitare ciò che fece questo giovane? In modo analogo alcuni hanno sopravvissuto l'università, ma la raccomandereste ad altri? Invece di perseguire alta educazione, sarebbe bene crescere nella conoscenza di Jehovah. Per cominciare a conoscere meglio la Bibbia, dobbiamo leggere la Bibbia ogni giorno. Ogni giorno. Lo facciamo?
So we can truly appreciate how the Watchtower and Babel Crap Society ultimately views college education. It's absolutely foolishness in their eyes. I mean, they even use an illustration of, well, would you go seek employment to a place of business that has a going out of business sign? No. Well, since this world is going out of business in Watchtower's theology, then why would you want to get educated with this knowledge of this system of things? And then a poorly illustration of somebody trying to commit suicide.
Yeah.
Just poor.
And survived, the gunshot wound. I mean, that is stupid.
Yes.
That was just plain stupid to use the comparison between the two.
Yeah, and then, then try to say, well, yeah, some did go to college and get educated and, they survived it. It's very poor analogies, very poor use of illustrations.
Yeah, so what he's doing is he's comparing getting an education to better yourself, to be able to support yourself. He's comparing that to actually trying to kill yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just so asinine to begin with.
But yet Watchtower thinks that whole illustration is godly wisdom.
Divine wisdom.
Divine wisdom. Well, let me just read.
Well, I was going to say, that was 13 years ago. So whoever went to college after hearing that talk has probably graduated by now and has a good job.
And we're still in this system of things, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Now, we all know as ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, and having been in Watchtower for a number of years, Watchtower likes using the scripture found at 1 Corinthians 3:18 to 19 when it comes to being educated in this system of things. And I have several different translations that I would like to read this scripture from, but I'm going to end up eventually with the New World Translation because they actually use a word in there that these other translations don't use. But I think Watchtower has the correct version of the scripture. That's why I'm going to end with it. Okay? I really hate to say Watchtower is correct in anything, but trust me, there's a punchline.
I'm sure.
Okay, from the Complete Jewish Bible, 1 Corinthians 3:18 and 19. Let no one fool himself. If someone among you thinks he is wise by this world's standards, let him become foolish, so that he may become really wise. For the wisdom of this world is nonsense as far as God is concerned, inasmuch as the Tanakh says, he traps the wise in their own cleverness. From the Contemporary English Version, 1 Corinthians 3:18 and 19. Don't fool yourselves. If any one of you think you are wise in the things of this world, you will have to become foolish before you can be truly wise. This is because God considers the wisdom of this world to be foolish. It is just as the scriptures say, God catches the wise when they try to outsmart him.
No, I like that one.
Yeah.
Do you have the silver shank over there?
Yes, I do.
I'm going to look that scripture up while you're reading these.
Well, I've got it in the, in the old rusty sword.
Well, that's why I was going to compare it
Yeah.
to the new silver shank.
Okay, the New English Version, the My Archaeological Bible, 3:18 and 19. Do not deceive yourselves. If anyone of you thinks he is wise by the standards of this age, he should become a fool so that he may become wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness in God's sight. As it is written, he catches the wise in their own craftiness. Okay, now keep in mind, before I read the new crap translation Bible, Watchtower and Bible Crap Society thinks that they are absolutely wise. Here you've got a governing body member, Loesch, on a platform, on a stage, talking to thousands of Jehovah's Witnesses, trying to convince them that secular education is foolishness. Now here you've got these men that are pushing themselves off as, the anointed of Jehovah.
Guardians of doctrine?
Guardians of doctrine. These men are going to be ruling with Jesus Christ in heaven. So what they want you to do in their benevolent wisdom is to drop out of college, do something better, which really means serve the Watchtower and Babel Crap Society for the rest of your life, grow old with absolutely no savings in a savings account, or having anything stored up for a little nest egg for retirement.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Isn't that the same nonsense they told me and you back in the 70s? Don't go get educated. We ain't going to be in this system long enough for you to use this education. Do you see how God is making these people, myself included, foolish? Because we're listening. We got some articles we want to show. But But I want to read this from the New World Translation, the old rusty shank. 1 Corinthians 3:18 and 19. Let no one be seducing himself. If anyone among you thinks he is wise in this system of things, now Watchtower thinks they're wise because they have godly wisdom. Let him become a fool, that he may become wise. Well, here's the thing, Watchtower. You've been made fools of because your own literature makes you foolish. Your flip-flopping of doctrines, false prophecies, makes you foolish. But how come you're not becoming wise? See, God is making you foolish. Well, heck no. The apostate. No! You make yourself foolish every time you flip-flop a doctrine. but you don't learn, do you? You don't learn your lessons.
They never do.
No. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. For it is written, He catches the wise in their own cunning. And that's the word I want to focus on, because according to Webster's dictionary, you look up the word cunning. And this is you, Watchtower. Crafty, full of deceit, skillful, ingenious, sweet, charming, guile, deceit, artfulness, skillful, dexterity, to know, be able. Crafty, full of deceit. And isn't that what the Watchtower Bible Craft Society is? They are absolutely full of deceit because you think your wisdom is from God, and it's not.
So, nice segue, dear.
Thank you.
I happen to have the 2008 Watchtower Bond volume here. This is the April 15th, 2008 Watchtower. Page 5, subheading, Beware of Words That Are Valueless. Yeah. Falsehood is what the prophets are prophesying in my name. I have not sent them, nor have I commanded them or spoken to them. A false vision and a divination and a valueless thing, in italics, and the trickiness of their heart. They are speaking prophetically to you people.
1975, don't go get educated because you won't be in this system long enough to use this education. That's how they convinced Kim and I not to get educated. In 2003, you see how Loesch is convincing another generation that secular education is worthlessness.
Jeremiah 14:14. You know, that reminds me, 2003, that's when our daughter Shyla started college.
Yeah.
And she finished her program. She has been working as a professional sign language interpreter now since then.
Yeah.
And now she has gone back to college and still no Armageddon. Yeah. Okay, I digress. Back to the paragraph. Those false prophets claimed to speak in Jehovah's name, but they were promoting their own ideas, their own wisdom.
Now, just go back to the first Blood Book, 1961. Watchtower said that taking fractions is against God's law. And now now their wisdom has been made foolish because now it's a conscience matter?
Yeah. Thus their words were a valueless thing. So Watchtower has become a valueless
thing. Exactly.
They were worthless and posed a real spiritual threat.
Oh, Watchtower poses a real spiritual threat because their words are valueless because they're trying to become wise in their own eyes. But with this self-wisdom comes the money, doesn't it, Watchtower?
Yeah.
Becomes the money.
So I have another paragraph here that I thought was interesting. In fact, there's a little bit more.
We've got 4 Watchtowers in front of us.
Yeah, but we thought this was important and wanted to share it with all of you. So over in paragraph 16, do we hear valueless things being uttered today? Oh yeah, all the time. We just seen the clip. Yes, for example, some scientists say that evolutionary theory and scientific discoveries in other fields demonstrate that there is no longer any need to believe in God, that everything can be explained by natural processes. Should such proud statements concern us? Of course not. Human wisdom differs from divine wisdom. However, we know that when human teachings contradict what God has revealed, it is always the human teachings that are wrong. Do you know why I highlighted that one?
Keep on going.
No, all I'm going to say is 607.
607. There you go.
587?
Yeah, there you go. Well,
Yeah.
Well, I go right back to the flip-flopping of the blood doctrine. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Another example of valueless words is found among the religious leaders of Christendom.
or the valueless words of Watchtower found among your own people.
These claim to speak in God's name, but most of their utterances are not based on the scriptures, and what they say is basically worthless. Apostates too speak. Oh, you knew they were going to go there, didn't you?
Oh, I knew. Oh, yeah. That's why this is such a belly laugh.
Yeah. Apostates too speak valueless words, claiming to have greater wisdom than the appointed faithful and discreet slave. Now, be prepared to laugh your backside off on this one. However, apostates speak their own wisdom, and their words are valueless, a stumbling block to any who might listen. How can we avoid being misled by them? Okay, most of the time these valueless words we speak is reading your own literature.
Go to the reasoning book, fill in the ... to the cross, go to the open library. Come on, Watchtower, I've said this 100 times. This is your words. So your words are valueless. All we're doing is just connecting the dots.
My goodness.
My goodness. Now, let's carrying on that theme. Thought 1958 Watchtower, June 1st. Under the article name, What It Takes to Be Happy Forever.
Let's see, page 347.
Paragraph 7. Now, we're going to be talking a little bit about eternal salvation. I'm going to read the paragraph because, again, Watchtower's quoting from 1 Corinthians 3, 18 through 20. Paragraph 7. Now, again, this was a study article. 1958. So you would have thought from 1958 to this day, Watchtower would have learned from God exposing how foolish their cunning has become. They ain't learned a damn thing.
They didn't even learn from 1975.
No, they didn't. Paragraph 7. So the Jews might consider Jesus the ransom, the ransom as weak, and the Greeks might think it foolish. Nevertheless, this foolish thing of God is wiser than any scheme of men to effect salvation. And this weak thing of God is stronger than any effort by men to evade death. Does that sound logical to you? I mean, that just sounds like
That sentence doesn't even make sense.
It sounds like some sort of puzzle they're trying to make you figure out. But I'm going on. When wise men bring forth teachings that would nullify or replace would replace Christ as ransom or as king, when they through their schemes propose to do what only Christ's ransom or kingdom will accomplish, then their wisdom is foolish and futile in the sight of Jehovah. Oh, I'm starting to get it. See, when
they try to replace Christ.
Wait a minute. So, in order to gain eternal salvation, you have to become attached to the organization that God gave us in place of Christ's ransom. That's called the Watchtower Bible Tracts. Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
So they're placing themselves in Christ's place as an organization by means of eternal salvation.
You know that ark that's going to save everybody?
That ark. Oh, that's right. The symbolic ark that's going to save everybody is the Watchtower. Now keep in mind, Kim, when you and I were Jehovah's Witnesses, how many times did we tell people you need to come to the symbolic ark, the God's organization, before that door closes? That replaces Christ. Oh, how could I have been so foolish in my own thinking? Oh, wait a minute.
Deceit.
That was Watchtower's deception. That wasn't mine. I was just stupid enough to believe it. See, they should rid themselves of such foolishness so they can so they can become truly wise, accepting Christ impaled, the wisdom and power of God. Then why doesn't Watchtower follow up with their own thinking right here?
Well, that's why they have to call us now mentally diseased apostates, because we did wisen up.
Because we did get wise, didn't we? See, we no longer need the Watchtower Babel Trap Society. We don't need the organization. Because, see, they say right here, when wise men bring forth teachings that would nullify or replace Christ as ransom or as king. Oh, wait a minute. That's why you have the governing body members saying we are guardians of doctrine.
Yep.
They have put themselves in a place to replace the ransom sacrifice. See, you listen to us, because we have been the guardians of... This is how wise and foolish these men have become in their own eyes. See, God in these last days has given us an organization, so you don't need the sacrifice of Christ, because all you need is to become a Jehovah Witness, and you'll live in this eternal paradise. That's foolishness with God.
Yeah. And I think, let's see, are you done with that?
No, well, I'm done with that one, but I have another one. 1970, Watchtower.
Because we're going to show how foolish they were.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Like I said, we got 4 of them. It's another study article.
September 1st, 1970, page 531.
How to train your powers of perception.
So then over on 532, paragraph 2.
Yep. What did Paul mean when he said, we speak wisdom among those who are mature?
Not Watchtower.
So obviously Watchtower is trying to make the Jehovah Witness think by these articles that they're the mature Christian. This plays a vital part in training your powers of perception as a Christian. Becoming a true Christian involves a big change in your outlook and way of life. Well, yeah, you have to realize, Jehovah's Witnesses, that the change in your future becomes like this. When you have your children going through grammar school and then college, everything is geared up to become an absolute success in this system of things. Just to use terminology that Jehovah's Witnesses are familiar with. Because these educators realize that it takes more than just a high school education if you want to make 35, 45, 50 bucks an hour. It takes more. Now if your goal is to really be nothing more than just a janitor in life, then yeah, a high school education is adequate. But even by today's standards, if you want to become an automotive mechanic, you have to have more than a high school education. Okay? So what you're teaching or what you taught is all foolishness now. Well, that is unless you want to become a janitor and a full-time pioneer.
Yeah.
Because that's what Watchtower is ultimately teaching you. There's nothing wrong with being a janitor, because Kim and I took advantage of that, and quite honestly, it worked very well for us. We only worked 2 days a week, and we made enough money to work 2 days than what I'm now making working full-time. But what was our other time spent in doing? Oh, preaching the good news of the kingdom, tricking people with cunning words. Okay. Becoming a true Christian involves a big change in your outlook and way of life. It also involves constant progress and development.
But that's not talking about higher education.
No, it's not.
Secular.
It's talking about biblical development.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me, Watchtower development.
Yeah.
See what we can learn from our brothers at Corinth. Many there were slow in making the necessary changes. They were simply not growing up as Christians. They were not enjoying close Christian unity. Instead, there were divisions. Looking to men as their leaders in a sectarian spirit, and not to Christ as their head. Wow! Nothing's changed, has it, Watchtower? The very things that you say Paul was trying to educate the people to use their perception powers, you do the very same thing today.
Sounds like he was warning against guardians of doctrine to follow Christ.
He was warning against the guardians of doctrine and their foolishness. Unbelievable. But yet, the Jehovah Witness, they're so afraid to do any secular research that, they're going to lose their relationship with God. I better stick with the organization because the organization has sayings of everlasting life. Yeah. What a joke.
Okay, so we've got something here that was a doctrine, a policy.
And it was considered wisdom from above.
And we actually did a video about this on our first YouTube channel that was taken down. And I can't find the original video in all the hundreds and hundreds that I have on my external drive. So we decided just to redo it. And thank you. I forget who, my little post-it note has disappeared that was on here. But, whoever it was that sent me this and reminded me that this was something that caused a lot of damage back in 1972.
Yes.
Now, we got our trusty Crisis of Conscience. And on page 48, this is the 4th edition, page 48. And I'm going to read this before I get into the actual doctrine or policy that they have quoted in the Watchtower, because this was a big thing. The governing body's decision in 1972 resulted in a sizable number of judicial hearings as elders followed up on reports or confessions of the sexual practices involved. And I'm not going to get in and read all of this, but it says some marriages broke up with resulting divorce. And then down in the footnote, it says, in a memorandum to the governing body dated August 9th, 1976, a headquarters staff member handling correspondence states, many problems have resulted from the position taken.
Now keep in mind, whatever's written in the Watchtower, Jehovah's Witnesses, is wisdom from God.
Yeah, this is supposed divine wisdom.
Divine wisdom.
From Jehovah. Okay.
It's foolishness. But yet you'd think Watchtower would have learned. But oh no, Watchtower never learns. That's how stupid they are.
Yeah. Now this is the 1972 Watchtower Bond Volume. We are going to go to the January 1st on page 31, questions from readers. Now I'm not going to read this entire thing because not only does it get into graphic stuff and we know there's little kids watching. Do homosexual acts on the part of a married person constitute scriptural grounds for divorce, freeing the innocent mate to remarry? So their answer, homosexuality is definitely condemned in the Bible as something that will prevent individuals from gaining God's approval. Now, then they go into talking about, the fornication and if the innocent mate is free to remarry if this becomes a scriptural divorce. I will read this. Thus, fornication is seen to be the only grounds for divorce that frees the innocent mate to remarry. Then they go into some more graphic pornea information. And, this is really bizarre because it starts talking about one flesh and how, homosexual acts cannot be, coming together as one flesh. Okay, so this is the concluding paragraph of this. While both homosexuality and bestiality are disgusting perversions, in the case of neither one is the marriage tie broken. What? Wow.
Wisdom from above.
Yeah.
See, wisdom. See.
From Jehovah.
Yeah, that's right. Guardians of doctrine.
Yeah. It is broken only by acts that make an individual one flesh with a person of the opposite sex other than his or her legal marriage mate. So that was their stance, that homosexuality, bestiality was not scriptural grounds for a divorce. Okay, now in the same bond volume, I'm sorry, you're going to clarify that?
No, just wisdom from above, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wisdom from above.
So in the same bond volume, this very same one, in the very same year, we know that Ray Franz went and corrected this. In the December 15th, 1972 Watchtower, questions from readers. Question: why, according to Matthew's account, did Jesus use two different words, fornication and adultery, in discussing the proper grounds for divorce? Is not the only grounds for scriptural divorce adultery, as the term is generally understood? So then it goes into a much longer explanation than what was in the previous one. And it says all forms of this immorality. And they go into some graphic stuff. Page 767. Does this mean that unnatural and perverted sexual relations such as those engaged in by homosexuals are included in the meaning of this term used by the apostle in recording Jesus' words? Yes, that is the case. And then you go to the final paragraph, and it says, therefore, when a mate is guilty of such serious sexual immorality, the innocent mate may scripturally divorce such a one if he or she so desires. One who obtains a divorce on such scriptural grounds is also scripturally free to remarry, not thereby being subject to a charge of adultery. This clearly marks a correction in the view expressed on previous occasions in the columns of this magazine, but faithful adherence to what the scriptures actually say requires it. And this is divine wisdom from above.
1 Corinthians 3:18, let no one be seducing himself. And this is what Watchtower does. Every time they write crap like this and then change it, they're just seducing themselves. They're showing how foolish and idiotic they are.
Yeah. And the sad part is like Ray brings out in his book, there were so many divorces, there were so many problems caused.
Broken families, yeah, absolutely.
You know, and instead of using their own mind, their own perceptive powers, their own wisdom and common sense, like you mentioned before,
common sense,
they had to write into the society and start asking, details of what to do in the bedroom.
Yeah.
It's like, my goodness.
Yep. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. Your wisdom, your Watchtower magazines is foolish. But I'm just going to do what I like to do best. Change a little bit of these wordings. Watchtower. Do. Since us apostates have such a favored place in your heart, since you view us apostates with such affection
and spew valueless things.
Yes. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. For it is written, the apostates will catch Watchtower in their own cunning. Busted. And yet the Jehovah Witness cannot train their perceptive powers to see how foolish they are becoming and how foolish they look in the eyes not only of God, but also in the eyes of the world. Because the world can now watch these YouTube videos and see firsthand the amount of crap that Watchtower has been spewing in this world. They can see how they have ruined people's lives because people are dumb enough. I was dumb enough to believe this and follow it. Not for very long, but I did. It's all foolishness, Watchtower.
Well, I was going to say, we just got an email this morning from a dear friend of ours who is arguing with a JW over on YouTube.
Yeah, unbelievable.
And the JW actually says, if I remember correctly, that they didn't have to follow Watchtower policy, that they follow the Bible. So it's like, oh my goodness. Obviously, this person has no idea that they're supposed to follow Watchtower policy, because our friends started posting down below from actual Watchtower literature what they say about following the organization if you want to get salvation.
I was looking for that email. I just can't.
I didn't print it up.
Okay.
But the thing is this JW probably won't even go look in their literature.
No,
They're just
no.
going to discredit our friend as being a, mentally diseased apostate. And it doesn't matter what, they're quoting under there that is right from their own literature. They will not go look it up.
No, they won't. That's because, well, it's just, they're so afraid. They're so afraid, and it isn't, well, it's just absolute nonsense. Yeah, I'm trying to be nice.
Since when?
I know.
Well, thank you for watching, and, thank you for all your wonderful, comments and emails.
I want to give a special thanks. There's just too many to name. And those of you that are doing it, for all of those that are trying to help the Jehovah's Witnesses in the comment sections of our YouTube videos, thank you so much for your tireless effort in doing this. As we've said before, Kim and I just simply do not have the time to watch and keep an eye on all of those comments. Thank you, folks, so much for doing this, because it's a huge help to Kim and I in our activism. And in a very real way, you're not only supporting what us XJWs are doing and trying to help these Jehovah's Witnesses come to their senses, you're also leaving Kim and I free to be able to help those that really need more immediate help, I guess, is what we should be saying. So thank you so much. I just wish we could just sit here and just rattle off everybody's name, but we just can't do it no longer. In fact, there's so many new ones posting underneath our videos that I don't even recognize the names hardly anymore. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts for doing this. You just don't understand how much of a big help you folks truly are in doing this. Yeah,
and you don't realize that it's not just us. We have a huge, vast apostate army behind us, supporting us, getting us things, so many of you, it's so helpful. You send me links, you send me, research. And, just like the person who sent me this, it reminded me, about the foolishness of Watchtower actually is doing damage to families. Yeah. If a couple gets a divorce and breaks up a family because of their stupid policies, that is damage. That is real. And that is why we keep speaking out. So, thanks to the wonderful vast apostate army. And speaking of vast apostate army, if I remember right, Joel the Unwitnessed is doing a podcast tomorrow night.
Friday evening.
Go check out his channel. He will have when the next podcast is up. Yeah. I believe you said he was going to be interviewing Bojo.
I thought that's what I saw, or at least I talked to Joel on that. Yeah, I talked to Joel on the phone a couple nights ago to tell him how proud I was of him for doing this. I think that we can make this a very, very positive thing in the community. It's not all one-sided, and if you want to disagree with somebody's statement, you're more than welcome to do that without having to feel like you have to demand a public apology later from somebody disagreeing with you. That nonsense has got to stop.
Yeah, and it's great because as you're watching the live streaming of the podcast, and it is live, it's not edited out.
Right.
And there's a chat over on the side that you can join. And it was awesome last Friday night. Mike was gone. He wasn't able to join it, but it was awesome. I was able to stay up for the entire thing. And he interviewed Blackjack about his upcoming judicial hearing, and we've got more coming on that. And, Gilbert Gonzalez, who does J.W. Christ. Gilbert, love you, man. You crack us up all the time. And, of course, our adopted son, Tony Prime, and Julian. And Eric,
Eric, son of Thunder. Yeah.
Yes. And so it was great. And what a lot of you don't realize is there was a couple that had joined the XJW community for the first time.
Pam and Elgin.
Yep. Shout out, Pam, Elgin. I know you're listening.
Yeah.
Shout out to you guys. Great Skyping with you and talking to you. And we hope to do an interview with you soon.
Yes.
Because they've got an awesome story, too.
Yeah, and they're also doing something in their local area that could really be a really good resource for us ex-Jehovah's Witnesses that are trying to let the world know, and or certain factions of the world know, that when you're dealing with Jehovah's Witnesses, you're dealing with an absolute group of people that have become a high risk of mental unstableness.
Yeah.
If that's the right word I want to use.
Yeah.
But we're going to interview them and we're going to talk about that more, and how we can maybe start our own programs in our local area so that we ourselves can put ourselves in a position to alert people of authority what you could potentially be dealing with when you come into a situation dealing with Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah. And just so much news to tell. But what's interesting about Pamela and Elgin is he started studying, and he's been studying with witnesses off and on for several years now. In fact, he was studying with them when they got married. And just red flags started going off for Pamela. And we're not going to, give away the story, but all I'm going to say is he stopped studying. They contacted us, and now they want to join the fight with the vast apostate army.
Yeah.
So here's a couple that never was Jehovah's Witnesses, but they want to get in and fight because they see the absolute damage and danger that this cult is doing. And they're already, talking, because they were, like Mike just mentioned, the mental illness. They were already talking to, like, college classes that are studying mental illness. Sociology, police departments, you name it.
Yeah.
And so now they want to be able to incorporate, some of this. So welcome to the vast apostate army.
So your foolishness is being exposed worldwide. Jehovah's Witnesses, governing body, you're being exposed for the foolishness, the fools that you are. It's just as simple as that.
Yeah.
You ain't going to stop this now.
Yep, exactly. So hopefully we can coordinate our schedules and get an interview with them, because it's quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And all I'm going to say is the very first email I got from her really bothered me. It upset me. And I couldn't even sleep that night. And
I
even now, just thinking about it, I tear up because I couldn't sleep. And it's like, oh God, please don't let Watchtower break up another family. We don't want to lose any more. So... but it has a happy ending.
Yep.
So, anyway, so love to all.
We'll catch you next time around.
Bye.
Bye.